welcome to the January's monthly web training with Chris Bennett and myself, Matthew Palumbo. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the national trainer for AudioControl, and Chris Bennett is the director of mobile audio. So today we're going to kind of get you caught up on what we've been doing the last couple of months, some products that have come out recently, some products that have, are almost shipping, some things that we've been working on, all that good stuff. And it's more than just product training. We're also just going to talk about some other things that we've been working on besides products and stuff like that. So, with that, I think we'll get moving here and get started. So let's kick it off. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is thank you to all of you out there. If anybody on this call was somebody who, voted for us or had anything to do with it, but we got Vendor of the Year for 2020. I can't tell you how big of a deal this is for us and how much this means to us. It's kind of hard to see a clear award on camera, but this is incredible, you guys. I mean, for AudioControl to win this, it means so much, not just to Chris and I, but the entire team here at AudioControl. We were absolutely blown away, not to just get, a vendor category award, but to get the Vendor of the Year award. Chris, I'm sure you probably have a few words you'd like to say about that too.
Yeah, just thank you guys. I think one of the reasons that we've been honored with that award is just the work that the whole team has put on. A lot of you guys might not know what it takes, but for a manufacturer here in the U.S. to keep up with the demands, that we endured, and most all 12-volt companies endured, to do all we could to support you guys, just make sure that we had the right product at the right time for you guys to have success in your audio needs. That's really what we all have worked tirelessly to accomplish. Still releasing new products, which we're going to talk about today. Still taking care of all of our customers, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a dealer, whether it's one of our rep teams. We care about what we're doing here because we care about you. And I think that award just is something that showcases the fact that you guys noticed it. And so for that, I just want to say thank you guys. We appreciate it. And we're going to continue to work tirelessly to make awesome products that make sense for car audio today. And we're going to support those products with training, like where Matthew's going to talk about, with customer service, and with a product that you guys can feel secure in knowing that when you listen to it, there's something special about it. Every one of our products, I truly believe that, there's something unique and special about it. So that's it for me. Thanks again for that. But let's talk about some of this other stuff that we have going on here.
For sure. So thanks again, guys, for that. That is it's a big deal for sure. So one of the other things that I want to talk about today, and it's not a product, but it is something that's important to our products, is software. We recently released a update for our DM Smart DSP software. And this is one of those things where, with AudioControl and the products that we make, we really try to take care of the consumer and the shop and everybody involved, even after the fact. It just kind of goes to our whole policy on how we take care of our partners and our customers. And that is that once a product is launched, we don't stop supporting it and go, okay, forget about that, we're on to the next thing. We keep supporting a product even after it's been out for a while, because we still want that guy who bought our product a couple years ago to still have a great experience today, and not feel like, hey, I spent this money on this thing and, whatever. So we came out with a new update recently that really made some big changes to the end user just experience. I'm not going to read through all these changes to you. That's going to be a boring training, but really the highlights are we made a lot of things automatic within the software. So where you used to maybe have an issue where your computer had a newer software version on it and the product had an older firmware version on it, or vice versa, and you'd run into some communication issues where they just would not talk to each other. You could not get them to link up, it wouldn't ask for a password, or whatever the case may be. And it was really a pretty simple fix most of the time, but still for a lot of guys, it was confusing and it was hard for them to grasp that the softwares and firmwares needed to match. So we wanted to make that easier and more automatic from here on out. So that's one of the things that we introduced in that new update is once you have this update on your computer, when you plug into an AudioControl product, basically what all of this jargon on your screen means is that you're going to have a better experience where our product and the software is going to check with an Amazon web server, AWS, and it's going to look and see if there is a more current version or a newer version available. So it's always going to check every time you, every time you log into the product, basically every time you get connected to your D6-1200 amplifier or your DM608 DSP, whatever product it is, any of our DSP based products that use the DM Smart DSP software, every time you connect to them with this new update, you're going to have a quick, it's so fast, sometimes you don't even see the screen pop up, but it pops up for a millisecond, checks with the server, checks to see if it's current or not. And if it's not, it's going to automatically prompt you to do an update, which is pretty cool. There's not many manufacturers out there that are doing that I'm aware of. The other side of that is that there's also now an auto recovery mode. So if, God forbid, while you're doing a firmware update or while you're doing a software update or something, your computer dies, your laptop runs out of battery, your coworker in the shop unplugs the USB cable, somebody shuts off the ignition to the car, whatever the case may be, whatever causes an interruption in that connection, it would be one of those things where in the past, you would have to do a manual firmware update to get that product back online. Again, it's not a super hard thing to do. It's probably 2 or 3 minutes worth of instructions and clicking on a computer. It's pretty straightforward. Our tech support team walks people through it. It's not that hard, but we've decided to make that now automatic. So now there's a recovery mode built in to where if for some reason that connection is interrupted by way of computer disconnect, USB disconnect, power goes out, whatever the case may be, now the software is going to come back on the next time there's power and connection to that product. The computer is going to light up in that software and say, hey, something happened. Do you want to, recover this product? Do you want to bring this one back to life, so to speak? And all you have to do is just tell it which piece of equipment it is, and it takes care of the rest. It works really, really well. And again, it's just one of those things we're working towards to make the end user experience better for everybody, better for techs, better for consumers, just better all the way around. We also fixed a lot of the things that went along with loading times and just increased compatibility. There was a few bugs there with the Mac side of things. Guys using MacBooks or Apple computers, would experience a couple of bugs when it came to loading tune files and things like that. Chris, did you have something you wanted to throw in?
Yeah, I just, all that stuff, just emphasize, make sure you have version 1.3.44, whether it's Mac or PC, on your computers, because I think the AWS implementation, what makes it super cool is that it will allow us when we roll out any further updates. So, there's a long list of really cool features and functionality that we plan to implement into the DM Smart DSP features. So going forward, as long as you have that 1.3.44 today, it's going to handle all those updates for you. So even if you have a 4-year-old DM810 and you go through and make sure it has 1.344 on it, anything that happens in the future, any kind of additional software firmware updates, you can go ahead and know that when you plug in, it's going to prompt you to make sure that you're good to go. You have the latest version, the latest features, and it'll help us to roll out features a lot quicker because the whole process in software development and firmware development is very challenging, especially when you're talking about what potentially could be 10,000 units already out in the field, and then doing an update and then having those 10,000 units have to do it. So that's really the key thing with the AWS implementation that I would stress. So let's make sure we get the 1.3.44 done, and going forward from that point forward, you're going to be have great results. So.
Absolutely. And so basically what that means is that we need to make sure, and this should be the last time, that you need to delete the app off your computer. Mac or PC, doesn't matter. Delete the app off your computer and download the latest one from our website. This will be, the last time you should need to do that in most cases, because now it's going to automatically update. But still, this time we need you to delete that, put this latest one on there. And then like Chris said, from here going forward, it's going to be a whole lot easier and a much better experience. The other side of that too is with the firmware updates and that sort of thing. So you do have to do firmware updates with all of our products via USB. And that is still the case. We need you to do them via USB. It's just a more stable platform. We can get that data into the product faster. But in the past, where we would also run into a few issues, and I'll wrap this up before we move on, is if you hooked up or tried to hook up a smartphone or tablet via Bluetooth to one of our products and you were having issues with it, a lot of times you would have no idea why you're having that issue. Where what was probably happening again was that there was a mismatch between the firmware on the product, the software on your computer, and the app on your phone, and those things need to match. So now what's going to happen is if the app on your phone is the latest, the software on your computer's been updated, the product's been updated, everything's up to date. Now in the future, when there's an update, even if you don't use your computer to hook up to our products and you just use your phone or tablet is still going to be able to light up and tell you, hey, there is an update available, please plug in a computer soon and do that update. So although you won't be able to do the update via Bluetooth, it will at least prompt the end user to, hey, you need to go plug into a computer sometime soon and get this done. So it's a pretty big step forward. It really, like Chris said, it kind of unlocks the door and opens the door a little bit for us to push some cool updates out in the future as well and get some of those other features out that guys are asking for. So with that, we'll move on to some other cool stuff. So one of the other cool things.
Just a couple of things on Facebook. Oh, yeah. Dean said that he just used the brand new software today. Smooth. So
awesome. Love to hear it.
Dean, I think you have something you want to share.
I do. So this is something Chris and Dean and I have been working on for the last couple of months, and that is the 12-volt Clean Wire Club calendar. What a great idea, Chris. How did you ever come up with that? So basically, this is a cool little collaboration between the 12-volt Clean Wire Club group on Facebook and, Dean and Fernando, basically, and, Chris and I in AudioControl. And basically what we've put together is a really cool calendar with some images that just so happen to feature maybe some AudioControl product in there. But they're all super clean wire photos. Of course, they've got some AudioControl equipment in those photos as well. And these calendars are going to be available here really, really soon. They should be showing up here at AudioControl from the printer any day now. But there's a little brief preview on your screen for you. And then as far as how you're going to get these, Chris, are these going to be sold directly through 12-volt Clean Wire Club group, or do you know how those are going to go?
With everything going on, that's been slightly off of my plate.
I hear you.
And I'm just happy that we're getting them. I think what we'll probably do is obviously Dean and Fernando and the guys at 5-Star are going to get some of those to share with some of their best fans. But I think we will be trying to make them available, maybe contest or something like that we'll do to get some of them out there. They are very, very limited edition, but something that's super cool. And if everybody loves them, we'll do them again for 2022. But we're slightly late to the game, but here we are with something that's fantastic. So
agreed.
For those of you guys who get your hands on one, congratulations, and hope you like them. I think it's going to be super cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get these out there. I've had a preview, obviously, of all the months and all the images in there, and they look fantastic. So I'm pretty excited to be getting those out. So keep your eyes peeled for those guys. Like I said, maybe watch our enthusiast pages, the Facebook pages on AudioControl on Facebook, and Dean and Fernando and 5-Star and the 12-volt Clean Wire Club group. Keep an eye on those, and I'm sure we'll post some stuff up there as soon as they become available. So on to some other cool stuff we've been working on. If you remember from last year, like I mentioned at the beginning of this training, we did a ton of weekly web trainings. Chris and I did, like I said, about 27 weeks of these, basically from like March, April through September is when we did all these trainings. And they are hosted on Facebook, but it's kind of a bear to scroll down through Facebook and try to find all these old, recordings of Facebook Lives. So what I've been doing over the summer is kind of cleaning up all these training recordings. I kind of, snip off the ends of them so they're a little bit more concise and post them to YouTube. So if you're interested in going back and watching some of those, maybe you missed some of the past trainings, or you have somebody else at the shop you want to watch one or something like that, I reference to these all the time and send guys links to them. There is a weekly web training library in our YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and you can go there and just look for the playlist. It's one of the first playlists that comes up on our page, and it'll say weekly web training library. You can go in there and start scrolling through them. I still have some of these to upload actually, so they're not 100% up there, but I have been working on it and we'll keep posting them as they go. Today's training will go into a new playlist called monthly web trainings, but we will get all of them on there. So if you're looking for any of those past trainings, that's where the best quality copy of it's going to be too, is on YouTube. The ones on Facebook are okay, but the ones on YouTube are a slightly higher resolution and that sort of thing. So yeah, so enough about those. On to something else we've been working on, and these are Zap calls. This is more geared towards dealers, but if you're wondering, hey, what are those guys doing? They normally travel all the time, right? Chris normally is out on the road all over the place. Matt, his job is to travel and talk to shops and do trainings. What do you guys do when you're not traveling? Well, besides doing these online trainings, we've also been doing something called Zap calls. So if you're a dealer watching this and you've never done a Zap call, you know, either hit me up directly or contact your rep, ideally, go through your rep and get one of these set up. Basically what a Zap call is, guys, is it's a Zoom audio control presentation. And essentially what it is think of it as if I was there in person and I was traveling around your region with your local audio control rep, and we stopped in at, you know, 5 o'clock after the shop closes, and we talked for 45 minutes to an hour, and I showed you what's new, or we focused on a product or a category that you specifically wanted to learn about. That's exactly what a Zap is. So we can set these up to be very specific. You know, if you just want to do one on the DMRTA or on DSP or something like that, we can do that. If you want to set one up where we just do an overview and you go, hey, you know, I've been an audio control dealer for 10 years, but we pretty much just carry the LC2I and the Epicenter and maybe a couple of things here and there. But I'd really like to expand, you know, my offering of audio control. Zaps are a great way to do that. You can set up a Zap call with myself and I can go through and just do a quick line overview with you and kind of show you, you know, the things I'd suggest and the products you should have in stock and kind of what they can offer you and how to sell them. So that's really what Zap calls are all about. And we've been doing a lot of these over the last, you know, 12 months basically, or 9 months, I should say. But these are just a way for us to kind of, you know, keep interacting with our dealers. And especially for those guys, if you're a dealer on this call right now or watching this later even, and, you know, maybe you're in an area that's kind of off the beaten path. So even if we were traveling in person and I was physically in your area, maybe we wouldn't make our way out to you because you're, you know, a couple hours off the freeway or what have you. These are a great way for us to still, you know, have a training, be in contact, and do the stuff that maybe you don't always get a chance to do. The other cool part is that these can be set onto your schedule. So, you know, whereas if I was in your region, maybe it would be an after hours thing. Maybe before opening is better for you. Maybe you want to do them in the morning. That's cool. We can do that. If you want to do a lunchtime thing, we can do that. So that's what Zap calls are all about. I'm not going to spend all day chatting about them, but I did just want to kind of let you guys know what those are, how they work. And if you want to set one up, get a hold of your audio control rep and, you know, contact him to get a Zap call set up for you and your team. And if you're not sure who your rep is, go to our website, audiocontrol.com, and you can go on there and find out that way, or get a hold of Chris and I, and we can point you in the right direction as well.
There's already a comment on there. Somebody asking me directly about something really special in the 5-channel amplifier. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to hearing about that. So that's just a few minutes away, guys. So hang in there with us.
I don't know if we're going to talk about 5-channel at all. I don't know if we're going to talk about those. Just kidding. We'll definitely talk about them, guys. We're getting there. So some of the things we've been working on, me specifically, is the fan shop. I took a cue from Dean and Fernando and launched something called the Teespring Fan Shop, or the Audio Control Enthusiast Shop. And basically what this is, guys, is this is a way for you to get a audio control mug, t-shirt, fanny pack, whatever, now, you know, instead of waiting until the next Knowledge Fest and hoping that we have your shirt in stock in the right size, or hoping that you can email me and butter me up enough to ship you one for free or something like that. You can just go on to the Teespring store. The link is down at the bottom of your page right now, or of your screen. And you can go on there, pick out your color, pick out your size, pick out your style, and get it sent to you. They're really inexpensive as far as t-shirts and swag type stuff goes. So feel free to go on there, check that stuff out. If you've always wanted an audio control t-shirt, but you're never able to make it to our events, or you're just too far out or too far away in another country or something and want to you know, rep your favorite brand, this is a great way to do it. It's kind of a fun thing I put together. It's just a good way to get you guys some of that gear. So a couple other things we've been working on, some stuff I'm really excited about. So we are doing these monthly web trainings, which we're doing right now, but we're also going to start doing something called After Hours with AudioControl. And this is going to be kind of more of an informal, we haven't really decided, but probably once a month, maybe twice a month show. And it's going to be something where it's just going to kind of be Chris and I, probably more like 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. or 5 to 6 p.m., something like that, where we're going to be kind of hanging out and just chatting all things car audio, talk about some industry stuff, and it'll be open. You know, you can call in or you know, whatever, Zoom in, chat in, whatever, and ask us some questions. It can be audio control related, it can be car audio related, it can be, you know, personal, whatever you want to do. But that is something that we are working on. So that's one of the things that'll be coming up soon. I haven't put out the schedule for this yet. That'll be coming out here in the coming weeks. So look out for that on Facebook and all of our group pages. But yeah, looking forward to that. I think that'll be a fun way just to interact with you guys and, you know, talk about more than just products. Something else we're putting together, if you're a dealer watching this right now, is the 2021 dealer show. Because we're not able to do CES in person, and you know, Knowledge Fest was obviously virtual, SEMA was virtual, so we're not able to show a lot of you guys new products, you know, more in detail and really get down to the nitty gritty on stuff. These trainings are great, but it's still, you know, it's tough to get down to the fine details on more of this stuff, especially when it comes to dealer pricing and things like that that we can't discuss. So we're gonna have coming up here probably next month, towards the end of the month, is going to be the 2021 dealer show. So this will be a probably hour to 2 hour event online where we're going to go through the whole 2021 lineup of products, what we have coming out, you know, in the future months, as well as kind of what the game plan is for this year. So again, if you're a dealer watching this, that'll be one to definitely keep an eye out for, and we'll make it well known when that one is coming up. But this is going to be one that you don't want to miss. Not only will we be talking products, but we'll also talk about, you know, how we did in 2020, what the plan is for 2021, and we'll have some, you know, guests on to talk about their success with the brand, and maybe some tips and tricks from some guys out there in the industry that you may already know. So that'll be a fun deal. Keep an eye out for that one here next month. Now onto the thing that a lot of you have been asking about and waiting for me to talk about, and I just flipped to it a second ago, and that's the new 5-channel amplifiers. Yes, the LC 5.1300. It is shipping. Some of you guys may even already have this in your hands or have it en route to you. Or maybe your local stereo shop will have one in stock very soon. So the new LC 5.1300s are shipping. We are super excited about these. You know, they have been obviously something that, you know, people have been waiting for a little while. Obviously, we wanted to get these out a while ago too, but because of COVID and all of the delays of last year, things got pushed back a little bit. And we also like to wait to get things out until we are 100% sure that it's ready to go. So these are really exciting. I'm going to switch to another camera here so that I can show you a little bit better view. But here is, let me adjust my camera a little bit. Ooh, the LC 5.1300. So I've got one here on the tabletop for you guys to check out. I can't say enough good things about this. $799 MAP price here in the US, 1300 watts RMS. This is a powerhouse of an amplifier, and it is very exciting to finally get it out into some of your guys' hands. There's also going to be some pretty cool review videos coming out soon that I'm excited for everybody to see. But the big thing with the LC 5.1300 was coming out with an amplifier that would be, you know, for the masses. Everybody likes 5-channel amplifiers because of their simplicity, because they're easy to use, because it's one amplifier that runs the whole system, right? And so that's really what we set out to do with the LC 5.1300 is, yes, it's 1300 watts, it's a ton of power, but it also has a very simplified input section, crossover section. It's not overly complicated, and it just makes sense. Ratings on this guy, you're 100 watts by 4 plus 300 by 1 at 4 ohms, or you are 200 by 4 plus 500 by 1 at 2 ohms. So plenty of power for whatever you're trying to design system-wise. As usual with all audio control amplifiers too, we have a couple of things there. We have definitely underrated on the power side. We've seen some awesome tests on this that I can't wait for those to get out there in the public's eye, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I'm calling these underrated. And the input section. The input section on these is phenomenal. Just like everything audio control, the input section is pretty special. So let me switch cameras here again, and I'll show you a little bit more about what I'm talking about. So when we're looking at these amplifiers, of course, 5-channel amplifier, you would expect it to probably have, 6 channels of RCA input, which of course it does. We've got our front, rear, and sub input, but we also have 8 channels of high level input. So as with most audio control amplifiers, we can do our signal summing all right here built in. We also have a couple of other things you might notice. We have proper fusing on here. Yes, this is a real 1300 watt amplifier. We've got all the fusing to prove it. We have 1-aught inputs here for power and ground. Of course, this has GTO built in as well. So if you're wanting to do signal sensing turn on, this can use DC offset as turn on. And then that remote turn on becomes an output if you're turning on a secondary amplifier or something like that. And then we have our Phoenix connectors for speaker output front and rear, which is nice because they're removable, makes them a lot easier to wire up. And then a heavy gauge output for the sub. So, if you're used to maybe using like the LC 6.12 and bridging that one or something like that, this has a little bit bigger connector on it for the sub out. Since it's quite a bit more power. And then we have our ACR1 hookup as well. So if you want to plug in a dash control knob and have a bass knob for this guy, you certainly can. So very similar style, obviously, to our other amplifiers, basically the same size chassis as our 6 channels. And just to show off a little bit of that internal goodness, I went upstairs and stole one of these from engineering for a little bit, just to kind of show off some of the goodies in there and give you guys an idea of what we're working with. So pretty cool stuff. We are super excited about
absolutely packed in there.
It is packed in there. There is a lot going on inside that amplifier, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, we have gotten through the initial batch. Almost all the pre-orders were pretty much fulfilled in the last couple of weeks. So the next batch of these is currently being starting assembly and stuff. So we will expect to be getting caught up yet again on the open orders in the next couple of weeks. I know a lot of guys have been waiting for them. That was evident from, once we started shipping to see the demand come through for these amplifiers. So exciting. And here's what, somebody had asked about this just a little bit ago. The question was, was there something special, or did you guys change something in the amplifier? And, this amplifier is basically a ground up re-engineered amplifier. We simplified crossover so you can virtually just turn them off, turn them on, use them where you want to. The power output, we were fighting for a long time to try to ramp this thing up and get the most power out of it. And we settled in on, a nice, well-rounded 100 watts by 4 and 500 watts at 2 ohm. And you guys are going to be blown away by these amplifiers because not only do they deliver on that power and then some, but the audio characteristics of each one of these amplifiers that I personally have heard, there's something special about it. I think I had mentioned it earlier on, so there's something special about audio control and some of the engineering that goes into things and how we do our input stage and all that stuff. And it doesn't matter, what kind of product. You can think back 25 years ago and think of a product that stands out as just something that was special, unique, that's just completely set apart. And it could be an amplifier even in the same range of other amplifiers. If you look back historically, there's like the Punch 45 or, you know what I mean? Like just certain things that really just knocked your socks off. And I truly believe this amplifier is that amplifier. I believe there is something that magically came together. And, as we fought to engineer the best possible product, it shows in every detail of simplicity, in sound quality. Dean on Facebook put, love it, working great. They were one of the early ones that were testing some of our prototypes. Guys, this is something special. I know you guys have been waiting for it. If you're trying to get your hands on one now, it might be a bit challenging just because of, it's not like we just, make, 2,000 of them at a time. So we're working on it. We'll get you guys fulfilled, and you will have something that's set apart and special when you install these.
Absolutely. I was talking with Dean yesterday about a few things, and that was one of the things he brought up on his own. Is he's like, man, I don't know what it is about that amplifier, but this thing just rips. He's like, I don't know what the special sauce is. I don't know what you guys sprinkled on this one, but he goes, we've tried to break it. We can't break it. And he goes, your guys' amps always sounded really good. He goes, this one is just incredible. So hopefully you guys all feel the same once you get your hands on these. And I've got that big blown up shot of it on your screen right now because showing it over here is cool and everything, but I wanted you to be able to see a little bit more fine detail on what this input section looks like and what all the settings and everything on these are. And like Chris was saying, it's a simplified design, and we did that on purpose because we wanted this to be something that every shop can go grab off the stockroom shelf, put into a car, and within a few minutes have sound and make it sound great. We don't, especially with production work and trying to get cars out of the bay and on the road and make people happy and make them sound good, we don't need to always spend an hour tuning every car, right? Especially if it's just a basic system. We're putting in a single DIN and a 5-channel or whatever. You don't necessarily want to sit there and mess around with all these settings. You just kind of want to get it up and running and make it sound really good and get it on the road. This amp is perfect for that. But at the same time, we wanted to give you enough flexibility with the crossovers and everything to do what you want to do. So these have crossovers in them that you can make, do a high pass, low pass, band pass, whatever combination you're looking for there. We did things like putting the AccuBass just on the 5th channel, because that's the channel you're probably going to need it on, right? We did things like when you plug in the ACR1, it just controls the 5th channel automatically. You don't have to designate switches. You don't have to tell it to do that. You just need to make sure that the AccuBass switch is on and you've got ACR1 control and AccuBass on that 5th channel, and away you go. So, they're really pretty much ready to go out of the box. Grab it, set up your gains, set up your crossovers, and you're ready to rock. So that's really what these LC5s were all about. As far as how they're set up with input wise as well, I just want to reiterate a little bit about that input section. So these do have 8 channels of high level input. So let me switch cameras here so you can get a look at it a little bit better. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So like I mentioned before, 8 channels of high level input right here. So even though it's a 5-channel amplifier, we have the ability to bring in 8 channels of high level input, do all of our signal summing internally. And with this one, you don't have to worry about software. You don't have to worry about anything else. It's just as simple as a couple of switches on that top panel. So it definitely makes a big difference when you're talking about, getting these things in, making them sound good, and, getting it done and getting it on the road. And that's really what these were built for. So like Chris said, the first batch of these are already out there. They're already out in the wild. You might be lucky enough to see one at a local retailer or see one in somebody's car. And then the next batch of these will be out there probably within the next couple of weeks, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, lots to talk about with those, lots of excitement surrounding those. And then for those of you that are curious, we're not really going to talk about the D series 5-channel today, but just know that that one is coming next month. And next month's training, you can guarantee we'll have lots of info about the D series 5.1300. So
on Facebook, there's
yeah.
Tim on Facebook is asking, he watched Dean's video about when Dean came out and visited just over a year ago at AudioControl. And he says, are your boards and everything for your amps made and assembled in-house as well? And that's a fantastic question because, for us to make that 100% in-house, like boards in-house, that amplifier would be quadruple the price. So we use a lot of foreignly and domestically sourced parts and then do the assembly. So it could be all over the world to get some of the board work done. Input stage, we try to rely completely on what we do domestically, particularly with DSP and stuff like that. So almost all the DSP boards we do domestically and then put them into the amplifiers, some of the input stages. And then there's some new amplifiers that we'll talk about that are more done off overseas, so to speak. When we talk about that kind of stuff, we have outside engineering, inside engineering, outside manufacturing partners that we can assure more so than any place that I've ever worked or any manufacturer that I know of, that we have way, way, way more hands-on in the assembly and particularly the testing. So you will get these amplifiers and they will work, and they will work when they come out of the box. We will also make sure, because each one of these guys is physically touched and tested by us, that we will also make sure all of our amplifiers continue to have that AudioControl 5-year warranty.
Yeah, and that warranty is huge, just as far as not only, for consumer confidence, but for you shops and dealers out there. Like, you should just know in the back of your mind that that warranty is there to back you up. We're here to make sure that not only you're happy, your customers are happy, and everything goes as planned. And like Chris said, depending on the product, that percentage is going to vary a little bit on, how much of it is domestic and how much of it is international, et cetera, et cetera. But you can rest assured that, comparatively speaking, I don't think there's any other brand out there that touches their products domestically more than we do. So that's just my opinion on it anyway. So with that, we'll move on to a new kind of lineup of products, and that's the ACX lineup. So some of you guys are going to be familiar with these. We've talked about them a little bit in the past, but these did start shipping the amplifier line in November. So the ACX 300.4 and ACX 300.1 both started shipping in November. These are our all-weather series of amplifiers. They are really cool little amplifiers, and we've done some training and stuff on these before if you want to really dive deep into these. But, since we stopped doing weekly web trainings, these have been released and started shipping. So I did want to mention them at least briefly. So we've had some really good results with these out in the field. I mean, all the comments we've been getting back are how great these are, how overwhelming or how underrated they are, I guess I should say, and how overwhelmingly happy people are with them as far as power output and everything. So with these amplifiers too, I mean, we have the two models. We have a 300.4 300 watt 4-channel amp, can also be ran as a 2-channel. We've got some cool tech built in there as well. We have the ability to feed in 2 channels of audio and still get all 4 channels out. It is bridgeable if you want to run it as a 150 by 2 2-channel amplifier. And then these are IPX6 rated. So these are actually, water tested. You may have seen some videos out there from Mr. Steve Mead doing some extreme water testing on these. Now, we don't recommend that. We don't recommend these be submerged underwater. But if you watch his videos out there, I mean, you can see they did still last a couple minutes completely submerged underwater. So, that says a lot for a product that was never designed to be underwater. These are not submersible, okay? These are meant to absolutely take a splash, absolutely take a pressure washer hosing off the vehicle, the side-by-side, the jet ski, the boat, the Jeep, whatever it is that they're installed in. But because they're just an all-weather line, think of them like this too. They are not just for your boat or your jet ski or your side-by-side. They can be for anything. They're great for RVs. They're great for small cars. I mean, they're great for big cars. They're just a good little all-around amplifier, and they're honest power levels. I mean, when we call these a 300 watt amp, you can bet that they're going to deliver about 15 to 20% over that. So they are certainly underrated, just like everything we do. And we don't mess around and talk peak power. We just do RMS power. All of our power levels across the whole lineup are all just honest RMS at 2 ohms. That's how they all work. So even when you look at like an LC 5.1300, it's a 1300 watt amp because it's 200 by 4 plus 500 by 1 at 2 ohms. So there's your 1300 watts. So with these guys, like I said, you've got the multi-channel and then the mono single channel amplifier there. Both of them have built-in crossovers, but the 300.1 also has AccuBass built in. So if you do need that little bit of boost there, or restoration at a certain volume level, AccuBass is great for that. If you are dealing with a vehicle that maybe has a funky factory EQ curve on a motorcycle or a side-by-side, something like that, and you just need a little bit of boost at a 3/4 volume, you need a little bass boost to overcome that. The AccuBass built into these is great. They also, the connector style on these is something I've talked about a lot. You've probably seen me talk about it before, and that is the nice Molex watertight connectors that we include with all of these ACX amps. We even give you a spare male connector, so you can pin your own harness, run it straight from the amplifier all the way to the battery, and have no points of corrosion or potential corrosion, less connection points, less resistance. All good things. So that's something that we include with all of the ACX amps. They don't just have wire coming out with tinned ends. They actually have nice Molex connectors on all of their connection points. So on the topic of ACX amplifiers, we also have a new product that we just released. This one started shipping about 2 weeks ago, right around there. And this is the new ACX BT-1. This is a pretty cool piece. This is a standalone Bluetooth receiver. It is aptX HD compatible. And really it was designed to, kind of give us something that could go with those ACX amplifiers, or really any amplifier for that matter, and be a standalone solution. If it's a vehicle where maybe the customer doesn't want a aftermarket head unit, or they don't want a head unit at all. Maybe it's a classic car, maybe it's a small boat, maybe it's an RV, outside audio system, maybe it's, whatever the application. If you just want to put in Bluetooth and an amplifier, no head unit, no other stuff, this plus an amplifier, you're set. So there's a couple of unique things with the BT-1. You can see some of my glamour shots there on your screen right now. But this guy is IPX5 rated as well. So this one can get wet. It is a really cool little product. It is, it's like all things audio control. Are there other Bluetooth streamers out there? Of course there are. But do they have that audio control special sauce that makes it a little bit different? Probably not. So that's really kind of what makes this one a little bit different too, is not only the IPX5 rating, it is super simple. There are no buttons on the product itself. It is a very simple little Bluetooth streamer. I'll pop this one out while we're talking about it, but it's a nicely built piece. I mean, when you take this out of the package and you start looking at it, this has a nice quality feel to it. It's not something that looks or feels cheap or anything like that. And it's just got a nice all-around feel to this guy. We've got, of course, power and ground. We've got our nice kind of audio control colored RCAs there. But one of the things that I really liked about this one is the remote turn on output. So something that's a little bit unique about this is, of course, you provide this one with power and ground, whether that's constant or switched is up to you and up to your application. But once this sees power and ground, this little guy is going to turn on, and it's going to allow you to pair to it pretty much immediately. Once you're connected, it's going to do nothing at that point until you start playing audio. Once you start playing audio, now the blue lead is going to put out 12 volts to turn on your amplifier. So that way, if the thing sits for a while unused, you can actually, it'll shut off the amplifiers after about 7 seconds or so of dead air is when it will shut down the remote turn on output. So again, it's perfect for those, classic car situations or those vehicles where you just want to do a standalone kind of basic Bluetooth setup. Or, an amplifier where they just want Bluetooth streaming and maybe they don't need the AC BT-24. They don't want the control aspect. They don't need the, setup and tuning aspect for our DSP products. Maybe you want to take an LC 5.1300 and just make it a Bluetooth standalone Bluetooth amplifier. No problem. You can take a ACX BT-1, add it to an LC 5.1300, and you've got a standalone Bluetooth 5-channel amplifier. Pretty cool. The other neat thing with this is the BT 4.1, because it's a little bit newer Bluetooth protocol, it pairs way, way faster. Both on the initial connection and reconnect, it pairs super, super quick. It also gives you a little bit better range. With Bluetooth, there's always some limits there, but I have noticed in my own testing with this one, I'm getting closer to that 30 to 35 foot range instead of that 10 to 15, 20 foot range that you normally experience with Bluetooth. So pretty cool with that. The other thing that makes this unique compared to what else is offered on the market is the aptX HD support. So if you are using a device that supports aptX HD, you can get high-res Bluetooth streaming out of this little device. So with all those features and the cost that one is at, $69 retail, it's pretty affordable for a high quality Bluetooth streamer.
I love just sitting back and watching Matthew talk about the new products and the fact that when you release a new product, like it seems like every single weekend somebody is texting me like, hey, will it do this? And I'll say, no, that's not what it's engineered to do. And they go, well, we did it anyways, and just how robust this new lineup of products really is, particularly the ACX and even the 5-channel. So without stealing anybody's thunder, the 5-channel is just like, I feel like as that product gets out there, there's going to be a lot of hand slapping, so to speak, when guys call me up and they go, hey, can I do this? And I'm going to slap their hand and go, no, don't do that. And
then they're going to do it anyway. Because that's what guys do.
Yeah. Mario asked what the voltage was on the ACX BT-1. The voltage is a 3 times. We couldn't get any more drive out of it, so it's going to be anywhere from 1.5 volts up, depending on you know, what kind and how strong of a signal you're seeing. So about 1.5 volts, I think, is about what it is, and that's actually for the size pretty decent. I am getting lots of other comments and stuff that are asking questions about product that, you know, hey, are you going to do this? Is there potential to do that? And I will tell you guys that we have more products on our product lineup than ever before, and that's all I'll say about that, because we are feverishly engineering a lot right now, a lot, and a lot of really special things. But you know, and hopefully these products that we're talking about today are products that, you know, once you use it for the first time, you'll be able to attest that there was some thought process and engineering and design elements that make it really unique. So
Agreed. Yeah, and you know, with a lot of the product related stuff too, I would just mention to you, like, you know, stay tuned for these monthly trainings, because I don't want to overload any of these trainings with too much stuff to where nobody remembers any of it. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, come back for next month, and we'll have some even more updated things to talk about, and some, you know, more future products to talk about and things like that. So we will certainly get to all of that stuff, but we have a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline. So one of the things that we also did in the last 6 months or so, and this is something we haven't really talked a whole lot about, is we updated the Matrix. So the Matrix is a line driver, and it is 6 channels in, 6 channels out. You can also use it as 2 channels in and 6 channels out if you want to. You can plug an ACR1 dash control knob into it and use it as a master volume control. It's a really cool product. It's one of those things that I think line drivers kind of get forgotten about in today's market with all the DSPs and all the high volt preamp outputs. A lot of guys just kind of forget about, you know, line drivers in general. But I can attest that they make a huge difference. I have an aftermarket head unit in my own vehicle. I won't mention names, but it is a big name brand. It's one of the big guys. It's a big screen unit, we'll say that. And I'm using, of course, all AudioControl amplifiers. And you know, that head unit has a 4-volt preamp output on it. But I recently dropped in the Matrix Plus right on top of the head unit and wired it that way. So it's just right in my signal path. And wow, what a difference that made. Like, it is a huge difference. When I was trying to explain the difference to Chris and some of the other guys here at AudioControl, like what the audible difference was going from no line driver to having the Matrix Plus in there, it was like the difference between my sub being in a sealed box versus a ported box. Like, that's how much more output I'm getting out of the woofer. I did, of course, have to go through and retune the system because I have a much higher line voltage now, but it was totally worth the time I put into retuning. It was totally worth the time I put into installing that piece. And you know, what a cool little piece of gear it is. So with the Matrix, you guys, you know, like I said, it's a line driver. It's 6 channels of output. Because it's 6 channels of output, though, the Matrix can put out some crazy voltage. So don't think that it can only run, you know, 3 sub amps or something like that. I think in the manual, it suggests you can run up to like 12 or 13 sub amps with this thing, something like that. But I mean, we can produce enough line voltage out of this. We can top out at like 13 volts of line output. So if you keep that in mind, I mean, even if you wanted to do 9 sub amps or something like that, you could easily run a Matrix and have it produce enough voltage from 2 channels of input to produce more than enough line voltage to run all 9 of those sub amps if that's what you needed. It's also a great way if you ever have that customer that comes in and he's already got a system installed, right? He's already got a 5-channel amp, or he's already got a 4-channel and a sub amp, and he's got an aftermarket head unit. He doesn't really want to replace any of that stuff, but he just wants to add something. He's got a couple $100 to spend. He wants to do something to make it sound better and you know, make him love it all over again. Sell him a Matrix, drop a Matrix Plus in there. And I mean, I would be really surprised if you weren't impressed by the results.
Here's how I'll put it out there for you guys.
Yeah, do it.
All right. If you go back 4 or 5 years ago when the LC2I was really just coming into its own and people were realizing, hey, why the heck would I ever use a standard line output converter when I can use this LC2I and have just ridiculous results? And so I would go and dealers would be like, well, you know, hey, this is, I have this $40 piece, and our customers don't want to spend, $100 or $120 on active LOC. And I would just tell them, well, the next time you do that install, have that call every one of your customers that you've ever put a standard line output converter in their car. Call them back and go, hey, you know what? We got this new piece. I want to put it in your car and just see if it makes a difference. Are you okay with that? And what customer is not, or a consumer, or any of you
Yeah,
guys out there aren't going to go, hey, this guy wants to see if I can make my stereo sound better with a simple device. Well, who's not going to take you up on that, right?
of course.
And you could go and take 5 minutes just to swap it in. The matrix is going to be less time, guys. It's RCA in, RCA out. You know, um, you know, if you're bored one day, call up or get your hands on a matrix and just, 3 RCAs in, 3 RCAs out. If you don't see a dramatic difference, shoot Matthew an email. No, just kidding.
You
But no,
can though.
no, honestly, this is one of those products that is probably so underutilized, but you want to bring somebody's system to life. They have a system, it's slightly anemic, or they've had it a long time and they're like, I'm thinking about changing it up. What could I do? There you go. Just give this a whirl. I guarantee that you'll be really happy with the results, and you'll have something that, again, that audio control magic that's going to help you deliver better quality audio.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where if you ever just need, like if you're literally considering putting in Y adapters because the head unit only has 2 channels of output and you need 6 channels, don't ever sell Y adapters ever again. Just, I know it's going to be more expensive than Y adapters. I get that, but it's also going to sound 1,000 times better than some cheesy Y adapters trying to split that signal over and over again. Put a matrix in there and use that to develop the signal and get you 6 channels of output. Plus, then you're going to have separate control over front, rear, and sub instead of just splitting it over and over again and cutting that signal in half. So on your screen right now, you can see the size difference. We basically took this product and squeezed it down into a much smaller chassis. And here's what this allowed me to do. Previously in my car, there's no way I could have fit a matrix behind the dash. There's just no way. It was just too big. With this current matrix, not only did I fit it in the dash, I fit it literally on top of the single DIN chassis of my radio. Because I have a big screen radio with a single DIN chassis anyway, I had a 1 DIN spot above my radio that was dead space. I fit a matrix in there sideways, and literally I grabbed some 1-foot RCAs. I went from the back of my radio into the matrix. I took my RCAs that go already to my amplifiers and plugged them into the other side of the matrix, provided it with power ground and turn on, and ta-da! Retune, and away you go. So definitely a huge difference, you guys. It's also now a conformally coded board, just in case guys did want to use it in applications that were going to have, maybe a little bit more vibration or something like that. Now, don't get me wrong, conformally coded does not mean that it is waterproof, because it is not. It was not designed to be a marine product. It is not waterproof. But that conformal coating does give you a little peace of mind that if you are doing maybe a bigger boat or something like that, and you need a matrix because your RCA runs are super long, or you have 6 amplifiers you're running signal into, or whatever the case may be, you can feel good about putting a matrix in a, otherwise dry spot on a big boat, where maybe it's just going to see some marine air or something like that. Maybe a 40 or 50-foot boat or bigger, you could feel totally fine about putting a matrix in one of those applications. So
you can feel totally fine about putting the matrix in a lot of boats. I mean, unless they plan on sinking the boat at some point. There is, almost all boats from 15 foot up, you can find a place if it's really necessary. And that's really some of the applications that a lot of people were using matrix and matrix pluses before over the last 20, 25 years. And that's just one of the reasons why we wanted to conformally code it and just make sure that every component, whether it's, in a side-by-side or whatever else, is nice and adhered. So that's vibration and a little bit of moisture resistance. So really cool redesign. If you have never ever used a matrix, give it a whirl. You'll be blown away.
Yeah, agreed. So on to some other cool stuff. One of the things I wanted to mention before we wrap things up is, with something like the matrix, let's say, think about this. If you want to do one of these, but you're concerned about that line voltage, run this straight into a matrix and away you go. Now you've got a standalone Bluetooth solution that has a ton of line voltage, probably more line voltage than your amplifier can even handle. So that was all the new product stuff we're going to talk about for today. If there's any questions or anything, Chris, we've got a few minutes here. We can take some of those.
Sounds good. So yeah, guys, we thank you guys for hanging out with us. Hit us up with some of your questions. We got a few minutes that we could do any last minute questions on stuff. As far as new products go, we just really need to reinforce the fact that every month we'll be giving you guys more and more updates. The product is really coming along nicely. So that LC5 1300 is man, come on guys, like wait till you hear those things. It's you know, has anybody, that's a great question. So I think we have about 250 out there in the field. Has anybody actually installed one yet? That's, you know, who's heard one out there? I know Dean and Fernando's been listening to one in his car the whole time. But doesn't look like anybody. So you guys better get to work, because there's a couple hundred of them out there waiting to be installed, and we're looking forward to getting the feedback on those.
Yeah, for sure. If any of you guys have put one of those in yet or got a chance to hear it, definitely let us know. Also, a couple of questions that came up in the Zoom chat. There was somebody asking about Instagram contests, and we will be doing some more Instagram contests for both, t-shirts and swag, and maybe even some product giveaways. So keep your eyes out on that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram so you can see those contests come up. I usually run those contests for only a couple of days, so make sure you're checking back and keeping up with us on there. And then one of the other questions I got on here was about the what resources do we recommend to learn about how to tune AccuBass? So AccuBass is pretty straightforward in my mind anyway, but we do have some great resources on it. There are videos on YouTube on how to set it up. We also have something called the knowledge base on our website. If you go to audiocontrol.com and go to support, there is a section called the knowledge base. And you can go in there and look up all sorts of different things about pretty much every product. And there is lots of info on how to set up AccuBass. If after checking that stuff out, you still can't quite get it, feel free to reach out to our tech support team. We have a great team here in the office. It's not, outside based or anything like that, or overseas in some call center. They're actually about 20 feet from me right now. So we have a great tech support team that can help you with AccuBass, or hit up Chris or I. We can help you with that stuff too.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us. We're going to see you in about 30 days to talk about some more products. And please keep an eye out for what we're working on, because we're working hard and we're doing the right things to make sure we continue our 40 plus years of making good sound great. So thanks for joining us today, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. And thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to come join us. Like I said early in the presentation, in case you missed it, we will be doing these once a month, and it is generally going to be the third or fourth Thursday in the month. So I will publish a calendar showing the upcoming ones on our Facebook groups and things like that here in the next week or so. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And without further ado, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.